Hello, welcome everyone. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining us. I'm your Marketing Ops webinar host, Tara, and I really appreciate you taking some time today and joining us for this brand new session, Beyond the Buzz, Picking the Right AI Use Cases. Before we get started, I just want to share a couple of reminders. Today's session is being recorded and will be available to you after the event. And here's the thing, you will get so much more if you are a marketingops.com Pro Plus member. Pro Plus unlocks the ultimate marketing ops resource hub. We are talking an ever-growing library of on-demand webinars, hands-on workshops, courses, events, and more. If you're not a Pro Plus member yet, this is your sign. I will put the link in the chat so you can join today and start taking advantage of all of the perks waiting for you. Trust me, you don't want to miss out. And lastly, I want to encourage you to use the chat panel and the Q&A panel for your questions and comments. We want this to be as interactive as possible. We'll have some polls popping up for you, and we will save some time near the end of our discussion to answer your questions. While we are at it, feel free to share in the chat where you're joining us from today. Without further ado, I'm going to pass things over to Ed King from Openprise to please get us started. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you. Hello, folks. Welcome to our webinar. Thank you for sharing your day with us. My name's Ed King. Before we get into the introduction of our panel today, we'd like to just kind of set a table, right? So, it's been over 2 years since ChatGPT 4 came out and kind of blew people just socks off. And now, if you guys are tracking what's going on, ChatGPT 5 came out, last month? It didn't exactly blow people's socks off. So I think it's fair to say that AI is, while AI is still progressing, evolving very quickly, the pace of innovation is kind of maybe already slowing down a bit. While the technology is starting to become more mature and more refined, and many of us have been using the Gen AI for the last 2 years now, doing a lot of experiments, building pilots, learning a lot about what the technology is good at, and along with kind of all its challenges. So this is the first of a series of 4 webinars we're doing on AI for operations professionals. So for this one, we'll start at the top in terms of topic. Today, we have 2 very seasoned op leaders with us and with lots of battle scars to talk about AI today and how AI is being used and the lessons we have learned from how to be more successful with AI projects, as well as just talk about our collective AI journey as it continues. So just quickly, we'll have a round of introduction before we jump right into the discussion. So again, my name's Ed King. I'm the founder and CEO of Openprise. Openprise is a no-code platform that unifies your data silos, orchestrate your processes, and consolidate the point solutions so your ops team can build smarter go-to-market data with AI and automation. Drea, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself as well as Armanino?
Absolutely. So my name is Drea Jordan. I am the Director of Sales Operations at Armanino. Been with the organization for about a decade. And Armanino is a business solutions firm. We specialize in accounting, ERP implementations, risk assessments, and advisory, as well as audits. And I work really closely with our marketing team to focus on how we can better utilize AI automation to ensure that we're creating efficiencies across our organization.
Thanks, Drea. Fun. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself as well as JumpCloud?
Yeah, hey y'all. Fong Pham here, Senior Director of Marketing Operations and Sales Development Operations. I've been with JumpCloud for a little over 2 years, been in operations for a while. At JumpCloud, we're making IT simplified. We do device identity access management. For this audience, I always promote get your passwords out of a spreadsheet team, get our password manager. So that's what we do. So I'm excited for the conversation.
Don't put your password in AI.
Yes, please don't do that.
All right, let's jump right into it. So the first question we want to talk about with that panel is that, what has your organization been using AI for in the last 18, 24 months? And Fong, I'll start with you. I heard rumors that you have used like 150 different AI technologies so far,
Yeah, pretty
and this
much.
is your chance to either confirm or debunk that rumor, right? So, well, overall, we would love to hear, what type of AI, have you been working with, trying
Mhm.
out, and kind of what's your overall assessment as to what type of use cases you think, the AIs that we have today is good for, right? Where do you have, where have you found most success? So just kind of, as we know, yeah, AI is not like every other technology, right? No technology
Mhm.
is good at everything. So yeah, we'd love to hear kind of just your experience so far and what's your early assessment.
Yeah. Um, at Jump Cloud, we've been doing a little things here and there. Also on my personal side, I've been leveraging AI for a lot of stuff. I think if you asked me this a year ago, right, it's mainly around content development. That's where AI shines. I mean, it continues to shine. It's probably most developed there. When you're starting to get into our realm and stuff, when we're talking about, hey, workflows, automation, operation related things, it gets a little mixed there. And so what I found recently, and I'm just talking about the last 9 months this year, right? When we're trying to
Hmm.
scale some of this stuff, I think a lot of people are trying to scale it and push things forward to build efficiencies and actual get true ROI is very difficult. Meaning you go and look at some tools today, they're not really doing what they tell you to do or what they say they're doing. Um, but the things that we're finding is foundational, I think. Leveraging a lot of these AI tools, LLMs to do a lot of the foundational work is, I think, where I'm finding success right now. So we're talking about, we have tools like Clay, and that's like great, but it doesn't do everything end to end. I think there's a misconception that Clay does everything through AI. There's a lot of automation. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But there are things that it leverages very well, right? Can I build efficiencies around my BDRs driving personalized messaging? I can at scale, at very good scale. Can it do other things like augment data? No, right? Like that. I've tried those things and it always brings me back to what works, right? And that's automation, what we do today. And so that's kind of the things right now. And so really what I'm trying to do is find foundational things. And I have a process today just to understand, hey, do we continue down these paths or do I abandon it and then go back to what works and then iterate from there? So still a lot to learn, but really my focus is around getting the foundational things and then really kind of scaling those and expanding it later on.
Hey, fun. Just going to drill down a little bit on what you just said. So for the content generation stuff, as I like, I mean, kind of that's what we have seen as well. That's probably the area that AI is strongest.
Mhm.
Uh, have you guys done content on both the sales side and also on the marketing side, or it's more skew one way or the other?
We do it on both. So the example, well, more on the BDRs that I support. We've scaled their messaging. So you think of like, we use Gong Engage today.
Hmm.
Um, and they have a workflow. They go in, they do some research, and then they personalize those messages. Now, like
Hmm.
there's specific accounts that you want that you're gonna have the human do. Like I would still steer people away from saying push all personalized messaging. Those very target accounts that you have to have a human on there. You have to do the deep research. You have to build the relationship. AI is not going to build the relationship for you. But the ones where you're trying to scale and just get more brand awareness or just kind of break into those accounts, you should, most companies, most people in my network, they have kind of a generic flow, right? Sequence,
Hmm.
whatever you want to call it. And those ones we can personalize. And so that's
Hmm.
easier because on our end, we're, marketing may be helping to provide that content and the expectations and enablement around it, we can actually control it. Meaning if we're saying, hey, go to their LinkedIn profile, look at the profile, you know, talk about them, engage that way, I can leverage AI to do that. I don't need the BDRs to do that, right? So really what our BDRs do when I run the sequence, they're just waiting for a response from the email, right? While they're
Hmm.
working as a human, engaging their top prospect accounts. So this gives them more efficiency, meaning they can run their day to day, and I'm building on top of that, right? I expand their capacity that way. On the marketing side, as we can generate content a lot faster, right? So we do use some different tools to help generate content. But again, my marketing team is very realistic. They're not just generating the content and then shipping it. It's very much using it to ideate and then hone it in onto our voice and then push that out to our audiences.
So that's actually, again, an interesting perspective on this, right? And I'm sure folks familiar with the whole kind of ABM pyramid, right? On the very top, you have one-to-one engagement. In the middle, you have kind of one-to-many. Then on the bottom is the mass stuff, right? If I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like the one-to-one stuff is still, it's where you want the personal touch. AI may be helping the least amount there. Maybe
Mhm.
it's the middle part where you have a little bit of the one-to-many type of engagement where some level of personalization at scale can really help. Is that the right way to interpret what you just said?
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of think of it that way in a bit, right? We're trying to build more scale with the same amount of capacity that we have. And so, yeah, the one-to-one, definitely human. I don't think that where AI can help is research and stuff like that for that one-to-one, right?
Hmm.
But when you're trying to scale and build more, trying to cast a wider net without doing the traditional spray and pray, this is where AI can help.
That sounds about right. Andrea, what's been your journey so far with AI at Armanino?
Very similar to Fong. We are in the building stage. We are like analyzing different items that we could utilize it for. I think at the end of the day, and I think we're going to get there in this conversation, really focused on like, well, why? What is the best use case for AI? And so for my role, we've been really focused on analyzing vast amounts of online data to identify potential buyers, to really predict their intent. So are they going in, having specific activities about a specific solution that they're actively researching, to allow us to then use that to then customize the content that we're sending, customize essentially how we're prioritizing the account that we're going after, really understanding their buyer behavior and their intent signals to then say, okay, this is the kind of messaging, these are the kind of webinars, these are the kind of content that these people should be getting to actively identify when and where in the buying cycle they are.
So you're using AI a lot in the areas of analysis and looking for insights?
Correct, exactly. It's really honestly drilling down into focusing on the right things and not casting what I would call a wide net when we're
Hmm.
talking to our potential customers to ensure, okay, we don't want to send them messaging about tax if they're searching for an ERP. We don't want to send them messaging, about new things in an area where maybe they live in California and this messaging is really specific to, let's say, the Northeast, right? And so really focusing on not only the content, but using literally large data sets based on what they're searching and their intent to kind of focus that content and also give us the insights from a data standpoint on who we should be talking to and why.
So the way I understand kind of the interesting nature of your business is that uh, the selling is very personal, right? It's the partners dealing with clients, and so it, have you guys tried to use AI around more the personalization, the account research type of use case Fawn talk about?
Absolutely. So we've used AI because a lot of, well, in most businesses, it's about keeping your clients happy. It's about preventing churn,
Hmm.
selling more into existing clients. And so, with an organization like ours, where we have audits and a test, which from a risk standpoint, certain things you can't sell to a client that we're doing an audit for. So
Yes.
we are using, before we're going out, and having additional conversations, we are using something called Copilot currently to summarize.
Hmm.
Like, okay, there's data in our CRM, there's data in our billing system. How do we merge that into one summary of like what are all the things we've done for them? What have they paid us? What are the services that they've done over a certain amount of time? Who are the people that have been engaged with this client? Who is their client manager? Who is their AE? What has gone on throughout the life cycle of that client journey within Armanino, and we use that to then say, okay, probably can't have this conversation because that's going to be a risk for us. Or, hey, this is a
Hmm.
ripe opportunity for us to continue to sell into. Or, hey, looks like they just had a CFO change. We should probably reach out and see if anything has changed with regards to how they plan to move forward with their business model, right? And so it's really summarizing that information to make sure from a risk standpoint, we're not talking to them about things we shouldn't be or can't but also allowing it to ease up the way that a seller or a partner is engaging. We don't want them wasting time manually going in and looking at multiple systems and pulling together a story. So we're really using AI to kind of do that summary for them. So that way, all they have to do is review the summary and figure out, okay, what is the next step that I have to do to move forward with a discussion with this client or a prospective client.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because these partners, I'm sure, they don't come cheap. So being able to maximize their bandwidth, right? Being able to do this kind of background research so they don't have to do that themselves. If you can save them even just a couple hours a week, that's significant ROI given again how senior these people are in the organization. That's a great point.
Yeah, you
Uh,
sound like the partners. That's exactly what I don't want to waste my time looking through multiple systems.
They're like, Dre, give me another 5 hours in a week, right?
Indeed.
That's great. That's a great use for AI that we hear as well. Now, thanks for that. So, with that, what we would like to kind of hear a little bit more from the audience as well. We're gonna pop up a poll right now. We want to kind of hear from you. What are some of the ways your company, your organization have been using AI? And we can take a look at what the group results are. And so we'll give you about 20 seconds to answer the poll.
Thanks, Ed. Yes, there is a poll up on everyone's screen. I'm going to do a quick last call for you to jump in and select your options here. And if your primary method of using AI is not listed, feel free to share that in the chat. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll and share results. Are you all able to see those?
Yes, we can. Okay, so it looks like the top ones are summarizing messages and content. If I can scrolling down, second longest one is distill unstructured data into structured data. That's actually pretty good ops use cases. And I think the third one is personalizing message and or content. So this is very consistent with everything we have heard so far, and also just what we have also in general have seen from our customers and our prospect. And just to share, additional data points for folks that haven't seen this, this is a survey that came out earlier in the year. This is a 2025 AI and MarTech Stack survey. And if you look at what people's across this region, how people are using AI today, at least as of first half of 2025, is very consistent with what everything we have seen so far, including our own poll that just happened here. So a lot of the stuff around content, summary, content generation, personalization, summarizing, and to Fawn's point earlier, we haven't seen a lot of more kind of the use cases around data processing workflows, but there are definitely some areas people already started to see it. And yes, the ones around data categorization, classification, even start seeing more use case around language handling, non-English languages. So those are all areas that we're definitely seeing the attractions across the board. So thanks everybody for your input on that one. All right. We are actually, before we're going to flow into our second question. So now that we kind of have some background on how people have been using AI, we want to now start talking about how do you set up your AI project so you can maximize your chance of success, right? A lot of you probably, if you've been keeping on top of AI news, there's some pretty scary reports that's come out. I think the latest ones, MIT's out there saying 95% of AI projects fail, right? And if you read a little more into the detail, there's a lot of, you should actually read beyond the headline. Yes, they do say 95% enterprise project fail, but AI's deployment within the enterprise is actually over 80%. It's just that it's being used more as a personal productivity tool, right? Again, which is it's still a great use for AI. So that's why it's important we talk about the use cases. So before we get to our panelists talking about how to actually set up your AI project for success from the get-go, we're actually going to do the second book. So this one, we're going to talk about where do AI projects start in your company, right? Is it is it just the just whoever read the last analyst report or last press release, or where does it come from? If we can bring up the poll, please.
Yes, thanks so much, Ed. There is a second poll on everyone's screen now. Again, we're just asking who initiates the AI projects in your company? Whoever read the latest report, like Ed said, is it, every team, but no one is really coordinating? Is it your vendors convincing you during demos, your C-suite mandating this as kind of a top-down push, your ops teams, your data teams, marketing and sales, leadership? Or do you guys have a dedicated AI task force? We would love to know, so I'm going to throw out a last call for you to select your option, and I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, close the poll and share results.
All right. Number one is all the teams, but no one coordinated. So wild west. And let's see who's the second longest part. I think it's a tie between marketing and sales leadership, AI task force, and yeah, absolutely. So a lot of research has shown, by department where are most AI projects happening. AI sales and marketing is by far the leader in across departments in terms of jumping head in and looking to leverage AI technologies. AI task force, that's a very interesting, did not expect that. And we will get into that conversation a little bit later. So no, this is great data for everybody to see, again, what the, where AI projects come from. So let's get back to our question. So Drea, given your long tenure in ops, I think you'll agree that a lot of ops project, doesn't have to be AI. They literally set up to fail from day one, right? Unfortunately, and so I would like to first kind of talk about what do you think it would take to set up an AI project for success, right? Just from the get-go. And let's say your executive team just come asking you to use more AI. I'm sure that never happens these days. It's purely hypothetical scenario. So what would you want to know immediately if somebody says, Brea, we need to use more AI, right? Well, what questions would you ask before you just say how high?
Absolutely. So it's funny you say that because I'm a part of the team that has the firm has mandated that everyone use AI because it's the buzzword that everyone is hearing these days. And so I specifically have asked the question, well, what business problem are we trying to solve? Because at the end of the day, do we need AI? Because you're saying we should use AI, but based on the business problem we're trying to solve, it may not be AI that I need. It may be something else. It may be automation. It may be workflows. It may be, and I will say this, and not everyone will agree, but there's this connection between people, process, and technology. And at a lot of organizations, everyone jumps to technology. And in my eyes, if you don't align the people in the process with the technology, doesn't matter what AI or automation you create or workflows you create, it will not work. And so I always ask the first question of, well, what are we trying to solve? And then understanding the objectives. Like, okay, what is our goal and what are our objectives? And then based on those objectives, we could create a project plan. Okay, here's what we're trying to solve. Here are the issues that we're seeing. Here's our end goal, and then come up with a project plan for what is it that we need to look into. Do I need to focus on current processes and fixing those? Is it a people issue? Is it that we don't have the right technology and I need to go out to RFP and bid to see what other tools that there are out there that may solve for these objectives and these goals that I'm trying to get to? So it's not a one-stop shop. Oh, let's use AI and just start, plugging away. There's phases to ensuring that you have, number one, the actual tool that you need. Is it AI? Is it automation? Is it workflows? And then from there, figuring out, okay, if it is AI, do I have the right tool? And if I do, is it set up to do what I want it to, or do I need to put in some processes in place to make sure that it gets us to our end goal?
In terms of scope, are you know, I mean, when I say scope, I mean, for example, right, we've seen it's kind of interesting. A lot of times people don't even clarify this up front. It's like, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to achieve some kind of technology showcase, right? Is this just to kind of demonstrate a concept? Is this a pilot? Or are we talking about full-blown project with hard ROI expectations, right? So have you seen kind of variation in those kind of scope that people want, or is pretty kind of consistent in one of those categories?
I will say that there's a lot of variations, and for the most part, from what I've seen, most people actually don't know what they want. They want a solution to a problem, and the automatic, because it's a buzzword, because they're thinking AI is the the end goal for everything. They're saying, well, use AI for it without really thinking through, well, what is it that I really want? And this is not just within, middle management, but I think with upper management as well. There is this thing that AI is going to solve all our problems, and the reality is that there are so many reasons why AI should or should not be used, but no one is asking the right questions. Everyone is ready to go all the way 0 to 100, not realizing that there's levels between before you get to that end goal. And I think what I'm realizing is there's so many variations that no one really knows what they want. They just want a solution to a said problem that may not even be a problem. It may be a process issue, it may be a people issue, or it may be we don't have the right technology issue.
If you look in chat, I think you just got a fan club. Uh, Hey, fine. If you want to add anything on that, please do. I do have one question specifically for you, right?
Yeah.
One of the confusion we consistently hear now is people mixing AI with automation,
Hmm.
right? And this day and age, do they basically mean the same thing now?
No, they don't. AI is not automation. AI does not equal automation. I'm very realistic about it when we go into projects. Just very much like Drea, right? Like if it is if there's a business problem that we have and we have to build out a solution today, I incorporate AI into the process of trying to solve for that issue now, right? Just like we would do if AI wasn't here, I would look at MarTech, and then I would also go look at, hey, do we have the resources to build it, right? So the thought process now is like, okay, is it build versus buy versus, hey, is there an AI option on top of tech, right? Those types of things. But yeah, AI is not automation. Now, I found that realistically, right? I think that, again, going back to kind of some of these other tools like Clay, people think Clay does end-to-end everything. It's not. A lot of the things I leverage Clay for still has a foundational automation tools in the back end, meaning Salesforce is running the automation, Marketo is running the automation, Clay is executing on the thing I needed to execute on, right? So it doesn't fully automate everything. Yes, it does help build out validation steps. I think Ty, you mentioned something, hey, I leverage automation to do those things where, hey, I need to standardize the data. Do I need it to? I don't, right? I can still leverage automation to do it, but if it's quicker to do it on the fly, I'll leverage AI. A funny thing, I had to run a query to get a bunch of values together and put a comma, right? Just to put it so I could throw it into Salesforce for a report. And I was running
Mhm.
a text join in a spreadsheet. And then my team was watching me do it, and they're like, hey, Fong, you can do that in AI quicker, right? So those are the types of things that pop up when we're talking about it's quicker to do those types of things, but it's still foundationally it's stronger to do on the automation side, I find. Um,
That's-
yeah.
Here's a little controversial question, actually, for both of you. Again, because there is this uh, confusion between automation and AI, and I guess there's also a lot of pressure to use AI, right?
Mhm.
So obviously, you guys probably seen your share of vendor pitching technology that's dressed up as AI, but that's not AI. So in terms of just internal projects, right, setting expectations, stuff like that, um, I think people AI wash their project. So the solution may not actually either very light on AI, or I think projects that's not AI at all technology wise, but they call the AI project. So what's your perspective on, is it okay to AI wash your project?
No, I don't think it is.
Okay.
I'm very realistic about it. Like even like so I'll be a little bit more detailed on like internally. I can't give away all the secrets, but basically for my AI outbound, meaning like what I do for my BDRs. Today my BDRs they sit and they wait for a response. Traditionally they go and research stuff, get the contacts, they go research, take the research, build the personalized messaging. They send the sequence, they pick up the phones, they run the emails. That's all done for them today, right? And I'm very realistic because it's not AI BDRs, it's not AI SDRs. The project itself is called AI powered because that's
Hmm.
powering the back end. And so I think it's important for us as operators here to educate our businesses on that, right? Because it's foundation. We're the ones doing the work. We're doing the testing, we're evaluating, doing the discovery, and actually shipping stuff. It's important to say, this is not AI. This is powered by AI, right? And the things that are AI, that's where we make it very realistic. Hey, this is generated by AI. I was able to run this thing by AI, but it's not AI doing it sometimes, right? That's because you have to decouple it. Otherwise, I think about it later down the line, meaning where's the funding going to come from, right?
Hmm.
Everyone's going to start saying, oh, why do we buy this tool? It has to have AI incorporated in it. It's those types of things foundationally. You got to understand what the business is going to need and how we position it's internal messaging, right? It's
Hmm.
very important we do that today.
Rhea, do you have a perspective on is it okay to AI wash your project?
Uh, I don't know if you could see, I'm sweating when you ask that question, right? I think that doing that could be it's like exaggerating or misrepresenting AI's role. And honestly, I feel like it could be unethical and ultimately harmful because in my eyes, it's like a form of false advertising that can mislead your customers to believing that your product is more technologically advanced than what it is, right? And I think when you are in business, you want to create this sense of trust, this sense of a thought partner with your clients. And so when you do that and then maybe the product then fails to deliver on that exaggerated promise, that erodes that trust, right? So I don't believe that it's a good that you should be doing that, specifically because from a um, from a relationship standpoint, you could be creating unrealistic expectations, and at the end disrupting that trust that you have within your client base and or prospective clients, because now they're like, well, this person told me this, and once
Hmm.
I started using that tool,
Yep.
it didn't do what they said it could. It did some, but not all. And then it goes back to this: was it AI? Was it automation? Was it a
Hmm.
workflow? Which is why those questions up front are so important to ensure that you're not saying something that is inaccurate that could cause, again, that distrust later down the line.
Yeah, that's like super important because there are things I brought on because it said it had AI. It was an initiative to do it. We got budget for it. Bring it in, and then 9 months, 12 months later, like, what did AI actually do? And I'm like, I can't really tell you. What the solution that we needed was that we actually built the automation side of it. AI actually wasn't doing thing that was actually bringing value. So that's like, yeah, I hear you on that one, Dre.
All right. Okay, let's go ahead and move on into our third questions. So now we kind of talk about how do you make sure you set up the project correctly and so you get off on the right foot. So so next I want to just drill down a little bit on just how do you actually scale AI for the enterprise deployment, right? So I think we already talked about some of these kind of uh, personal productivity type of use cases is very strong. It seems like a lot of question in the chat is also talking about how do you actually get to enterprise automation, enterprise scales. I do want to double click on that. So before we get to the panel discussion, we're going to do a third and final poll. This one we want to know for folks that have tried to use AI for enterprise automation infrastructure, right? And what kind of challenges have you run into? what are the things that's stopping you from moving from, for example, demos and pilots into lights out automation? So again, we'll give about 15, 20 seconds for people to put in your answers, and we'll see what the collective feedback looks like.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Ed. And yes, there is a poll on your screen encouraging you all to just jump on and read through, select the option that makes the most sense for you. And I have seen a few questions surrounding some of these coming in as well. So I can't wait to open up the discussion with you all so we can address those. All right, I'll do a quick last call. And I'm going to go ahead and close the poll and share results. There we have it.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Number one is security. Given probably a lot of you guys are from B2B companies, not surprising. Finding the right use cases. See a couple of those questions already in Q&A, and explainability and trust. So yeah, so let's again look at what other folks have found. What you're seeing on the screen here is a survey by one of the larger growth equity companies called Iconic Capital. They have about 300 portfolio companies, and they recently did a survey and about the AI deployment experience that the portfolio companies been having. And if you look down this list, this looks awfully like the survey result we just saw, and there's again, it's very consistent with all the feedback we've been seeing in the field. Especially, I will kind of direct your attention to the top 7, right? So we start with hallucination, explainability, and trust. This is one of our top 3. Proving ROI, right, which we already touched on already. The compute cost, which this is an area I think it will increasingly become a bigger and bigger issue. Security, that was number 1 on our list, and finding the right use cases and integration, right? These are the top 7 of this, what a much bigger survey population show. So with that, let's see, I'm gonna go back to the previous, or go back to the question slide. All right. So far we just talk about how to set up AI project for successful on day 1. So again, I want to just drill down to about how to scale solutions. So there are many vendors out there selling basically everything AI. By the way, in case you guys don't, any audience don't know, there's a website called There's AI for that. So used to be there's an app for that, now there's AI for that, and you can go find whatever you want to find. Again, there's all kinds of solutions out there, and as we talk about, there's also a lot of non-AI technology being dressed up as AI. A couple weeks ago, somebody sent me a link, asked me to check out this company. I looked through the webpage, is like, yep, I can see exactly what this technology is, and not a single bit of it's AI, but every other word on the website is AI, right? So what advice do you have for us in terms of how do you navigate the vendor hype that we're seeing right now? What questions do you ask so you can pick a solution that, like you said, 3 months later you won't find out unpleasantly, wait a minute, this is not what you said it was.
Yeah. I mean, going back to just like things disguised as AI and not, it just makes me think of K-pop demon hunters with that doctor selling that elixir. I don't know. It's nonstop on the TV. But the I've with my AI journey, there is now just like RevTech and MarTech, there's a process I have internally. My CMO, Michael Hirschman, he very much I lay out a roadmap for everything. And what Dre was just talking about, my roadmap is dedicated around people, process, and technology. And then we layer in AI on top of that. So it's all there, it's laid out. I have very much a process for this now because I have to. If I don't, then we just spin our wheels, we waste time, effort, and money. And so the process today is like there, it starts with an idea. And again, we don't have this all locked down, but it starts with an idea. Someone from the board may come and say, hey, check out this tool, or someone saying, hey, we have this problem, fix it with AI, or internally, we're just curious. And so it starts with the idea. What we're building now is we have a governance plan, meaning, hey, if we go down this path of exploration, what do we do next? So I think like a lot of the audience said, hey, there's an AI task force. I highly suggest you guys come up with an AI governance plan, meaning what's your path to production? Because you want to you want to build the fastest way to make sure that you can launch something or you kill it quickly. You honestly don't have a lot of time with this stuff, right? You have to keep the
Mm-hmm.
business running, you have to hit targets, you have to hit goals. A lot of this AI stuff is kind of a hobby, but also is important to build the skill set and it's an expectation. So you have to run quick. So through our path to production, if everything looks good and we go, meaning, hey, does it pass security? Does it pass these things that we know that we can build internally? Will I be able to touch Salesforce Marketo data, right? Pass all those checks, then we move forward. From there, we start the testing. And on top of the testing, we start thinking about what do we want for ROI, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing again, because even though no one's asking for it, they're saying just do something with AI. We know 6 months later they're gonna, where's the ROI? We know that from the past, even with Martech, right? It happens all the time. And so that's the process I take now with my team. It's just like doing that. And then once we get to a place where it hits the numbers, meaning, hey, with AI powered outbound, we're hitting meetings, we're generating opportunities, it hits the numbers that we expect it to, scale that. If it doesn't at some type of time frame, you got to kill it or figure out, can you do something to improve that? Because again, it comes to your time and what you need to do for the business. So I think building that system is super important to scale AI at this point.
Now, there's a lot of urgency in a lot of companies, right? We have to use more AI. In fact, some management's posing as existential crisis, right? So does that change? I think you kind of basically touch on this. Does that change your way of approaching vendor evaluation for AI solutions versus non-AI solutions? Is it more of a evaluate, make sure we do the homework, make sure we make a short list of vendors, do our evaluation, hopefully not a full RFP, or is it more like, you know what, this one smells good. Let's try to see if we can POC this thing quickly. And it's kind of, I think you use the exact words, fail quickly. And if it doesn't do what I want, let's move on to the next one. So
Right.
do you actually use a different methodology when it comes to AI vendor evaluation?
It's not so much a different methodology, but I do ask harder questions. So, um, but I do demo days with my team just to make sure that we're on top of all the tech and AI and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
those ones that are saying, hey, we have, you're all AI for, I literally had one vendor, I didn't even ask for AI, and all they were trying to sell me was AI. I was like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
need that. But those types of things where like I'm asking, like if you're an AI first company, I would hope like your reps are equipped to talk to the AI. And so we ask like, okay, what does the AI actually do? What's the back end? Right? I think it's important to understand that, right? Like understand really what AI should be doing, what an LLM does when you don't need, Ed, you touched this on Lunch and Learn, right? Like understanding, do you need a full-blown LLM versus something smaller? Like
Mm-hmm.
those types of questions, like we're asking those very in-depth technical questions on these vendor evals, because if they don't know it, most likely the AI is not doing what you're expecting it to do. Right. So we're doing a lot more thorough, like really deep. If they need to bring on someone from an SE, then that's what I want to hear. Right. But if they're just spitting out AI does this, AI does that, I lose confidence quickly and I move on.
I'm going to bring this chart back up for my question for Dre. So if you look at this list, one, I guess, do you generally agree with this? And what would be, from your perspective, what would be the top three things that the enterprise such as yours have to get comfortable with before you would consider if AI is the right solution for whatever problem that you're being asked to solve?
Yeah, I definitely would agree with this list. I think I would, explainability and trust, I think for my business is probably the top one. And it's specifically because, again, most people don't know what they want. They're just like, this is what I want. Give it to me. And we talk about failing fast. I always say that, people don't have time to do it right, so they do it twice. And I'm like, why did we do that when we could
I'm
have
gonna
just
I'm gonna steal that saying. That's a great one.
And the main reason why this happens a lot is there's again, I think you said earlier, people want to move faster. Like we needed this yesterday. We need to solve for this problem yesterday. And so they don't take the time to do the research and they deploy immediately. And what that looks like, in my eyes, in terms of a better way to go forward is if you can, if the vendor is allowing you to, in a demo, they can say all kinds of things, like Fong said. They can say we do this. They can even bring in experts, and they're going to say whatever is needed to close the deal. What you need to figure out is, can you get your hands in the platform? Can you get your hand on the tool to see it for yourself? From a UI standpoint, from a usability standpoint, because sometimes it may not be as user friendly as you thought it was, and now it's taking you more time to get your teams on board and using the tool because they have no clue how to engage with it. And so if there is a way to get what I would call a free trial and or what I would call a phase zero, meaning you did pay for it, but you didn't go all in. You're getting people playing around with the system so that way by the time you're trying to understand ROI, you're not like, oh, well, I didn't get my hands on until I purchased, signed on the dotted line, and now I'm in a contract for a whole year and it didn't even do what I wanted it to do. So being able to get either testing up front in the models, in the systems yourself versus someone just telling you what it can do, I think will help with some of these challenges because you haven't purchased something that you're stuck with for long term without truly understanding the true capabilities and possible ROI down the line.
Now, given all these challenges that we're still all dealing with, right? So, do you think, in terms of setting expectation, what can be done, say, for the next 6 months, right?
Mhm.
Is setting the goal for lights out automation maybe too aggressive at this point? Should we focus on energy on maybe selecting projects that, has more to the kind of human in the loop, where that's acceptable?
That's a hard
Hmm.
question to answer because, again, it really depends on the business use case. What is the business outcome that we're trying to get to? That's going
Hmm.
to answer that question because it may be one or the other. If depending on the use case and the business outcome, you may need more people involved. I think at the end of the day, if you're a leader in your organization, you should be thinking about the things that your teams are doing, are being asked for the most, and how AI can make it easier for those people. But the other thing is you will need to identify and review current data, current content that you have to make sure that you actually have what's needed to feed into these models that are going to hopefully automate or create some efficiencies for you, right? Because at the end of the day, nothing can happen from an AI standpoint if you don't have the appropriate data sets. So you can like, oh, let's move forward. We don't need humans. And you don't have any documentation. And you're going out into the World Wide Web using unfounded data sources to come up with things for you versus I've researched this. I have the data. I know the sources that I need to plug into to get to what I want. And so it's hard to say whether you need more human or need more AI because it really will depend on what you already have available and what business outcome you're looking to get to.
Hey, fun. On this list we're looking at here, hallucination is number one.
Mhm.
So now, for folks that understand how these LM and neural network technology works, you understand that hallucination is actually a feature, it's not a bug. So, knowing that hallucination may be here to stay, I mean, how do you factor that into your AI solution design and the decision that you make about what do you use AI for, and how do you account for a technology that can essentially, we say that it puts out 20%, 80% good stuff and 20%
Mhm.
garbage.
Yeah. I mean, this is over testing, really. Like going example again, going back to personalized messaging for my BDRs. I literally had to rewrite my prompt maybe 20 times, right? It was me writing the prompt, testing, just like back in the day when we would test emails, right? Like make sure it's hitting the inbox, make sure it's not going to spam. It's the testing to make sure that whatever you're building from AI, in this case, personalized messaging, it spits out what I expect it to. And if that takes me having to go, because again, what AI should be doing, or I think what a lot of people think AI should be doing, is expanding, right? Meaning like you can do things in mass. but that brings in a lot of risk. And so if you're just spitting stuff out and then you send the wrong message, it's not a good look. And so when I built this, leveraging like this example against Clay, when I built that out, I had to make sure the prompt was right. The prompt was like completely not good. I was basically doing a quick test to say, hey, go pull in like Drea's LinkedIn profile. The first email is going to talk about her expertise and her current position. Go look at her alma mater, find her skill sets and certifications. When I didn't put my first rev at this was just like, look at the profile and come up with something cool. It would say like Dre was like the president of the United States. Like it was that bad in some cases. And it was because the LinkedIn profile didn't have enough information. And so what the LLM was doing was it would just make something up. Because, and I think you touched on this on a luncheon, Ed. It's like it just wants to make you happy, right? What did you call it? Like
Yes.
puppy dog syndrome. And so it
Yes.
just wants to give you an answer. And so these are things I think we're learning as folks leveraging AI. You have to put the guards in place. You have to put those monitors and like tell it to fail, right? As much as we want to fail fast, you need to tell the LLM, tell me the truth if you don't know this. Um, those are the things that we're learning now. Is like you need to put more into it. You can't just expect to like tell it something and then move. You have to put a
Yeah.
lot of steps in place to make sure you're sending out what you expect it to.
Something is actually harder than people think.
Yeah.
Adria, by the way, congratulations for being now the new president of the United States.
No, thank you. I do not want that job.
Now, final question for you, Adria. So security is number 5 on this list and number 1 on our own poll. You know, and this is actually one area I suspect it will start to move up the chart very fast in the next 6 months. We're already seeing a lot of increasing frequency of people reporting prompt injection attacks on everything on Microsoft Copilot, which has been compromised twice already, and even Google Homes. Now, a lot of security experts actually claim that it is impossible to prevent prompt injection because just the way AI how AI mixes data with instructions in the same prompt. Now, given Arnino, you guys handle some pretty sensitive client data, and I assume this is one area you guys take it very seriously. And do you guys have some kind of a AI governance and review committee, and to look at all these AI projects and sign off on them? And assuming you guys do, any tips on how to effectively work with these committees and instead of treating them as just a blocker and them an infosec, how do you actually leverage them to potentially help with your AI initiatives?
Absolutely. So we are in the beginning stages, which I might have mentioned earlier. We do have a data governance team for AI, meaning basically any use of AI, any licenses that are provided, they are limited to specific people after they've already gone through specific training. We have proprietary data, like you mentioned, and so that's information, and we are a private organization, so that's not information that we want out there that systems or people should have access to. And so we have done a few things where we've created incident responses to basically ensure that there are no network intrusions or malware infections that could essentially, have our data out there. And we have that security team that's going to quickly and effectively kind of stop that in advance. At the end of the day, there are some things that are going to fall through the cracks. And so at this time, we have very limited people that have access to AI tools within the firm. We do have a lot of people that are going out, and I think there was a poll that we had earlier where it was mandated, but a lot of people are just doing what they want. But we have secure things where it's like, this is confidential. You're not putting in any of our revenue information into that system. You're not putting any of our sales data into that system. You're not putting any client confidential like names, addresses, phone numbers, emails into that system, because we want to ensure that, again, back to the trust, we want people to trust that their data is safe with us. And obviously we've heard so many instances where there have been data breaches with a lot of organizations, and I'm sure probably a lot of people on this call have either been a part of that where they've gotten an email from their bank saying, hey, your data was breached, or some people have gotten emails about, hey, your password needs to be changed because of a breach to your password information. And so again, it's focusing on maybe having a small group of people. Too many cooks in the kitchen is not a good thing. Having a small group of people that are kind of at the forefront, they're allowing you to understand kind of what the capabilities are, what the risks are, to ensure, no incident issues, no issues of, hey, this is going to come back to us. We may get sued later because we put out information that we weren't supposed to. But what we're really trying to do is create our own system where we plug and play data that no one else can have access to. It's only proprietary within Armanino. And that's kind of what we're doing, is we're trying to build our own AI, because anytime you're going out and using other people's AI, unless you're asking those right questions, there is a 1% or more chance of there being data breaches and security, being at risk.
Yeah, for folks that don't know, my background is actually in security and identity management and such. And yes, no, looking at all these, especially the multi-agent architecture people are talking about, none of that stuff will be able to happen without very strong security standards. And those things takes a while to come about for everybody to agree on what the standards are. It takes years, right? So there's a lot of practical obstacles to some of these AI implementations, and security definitely is one thing which I encourage everybody to think about from day one, because it can, if you don't, it is a very good likelihood by the time you've done all your POCs and all your effort, InfoSec will just kill at the end, right? So don't waste your time without knowing that you're actually good to go. So we're coming up on time. Just want to before we go into looking through some of the questions, just want to point people to this. We have a prompt engineering handbook that we have written. This one is very much focused on, given what Openprise does, this one's very focused on data management, data governance, data processing, data quality type of use cases. So this one has a lot of tips and tricks on how to structure the prompt properly, and how many examples you should give, even where to, for example, put your data tags to save money, and all that good stuff. Whether you are complete newbies to writing prompts, or you're experts like Fang with use 150 different AI technologies, there's always maybe a little kind of interesting tidbits here that can help you. So I'll leave this on the screen. You can go ahead and scan the QR code for that. I do want to quickly, for the last 3 minutes, go through some of the questions. Sheng asked a question that oops, let me make sure you guys on the right screen. Sheng asked a question that is there anyone using AI for data management as part of the ETL process? Seems like a very strong use case, but without guardrails, yes, all kind of bad things can happen. So that is, as you saw in those surveys, that is not one of the top use cases yet, right? Because AI does have a lot of challenges, especially when you have to deal with hallucinations. So that is an area I will put in my 20 seconds of commercial here. That's what Openprise help you do. We are coming with a lot of the additional content around what we're going to call AI cookbooks. These are specific prompts for specific use cases, including benchmarking data to show you, for example, whether you try to use AI for data extraction, job title segmentation, and scoring. What kind of the accuracy can you expect, and what are some of the prompt templates you can use as a starting point, so you don't have to spend 4 hours trying to just create your initial prompt. So that is possible. It is an area we do expect more use case will emerge, but definitely for sure right now it's still behind a lot of the content generation, content research type of use cases. Let's see. There's one. I think we'll have time to pick up one question. Well, I'll open up to both Dre and Fawn. The question is, is there any rule of thumb to kind of recognize just day to day when different challenges come up? Do you have a couple of rule of thumb that people can use to decide, is this a good problem for AI to solve?
Dre, go ahead.
I was basically gonna say, if you are doing tasks that are repetitive or that require complex research or need like writing, editing, or maybe involve some like data analysis, I think those are things that could definitely that's a start in you identifying basically your time-consuming task. And again, it's back to experimenting to see if AI can either assist with it or help
Mhm.
streamline those processes that you're already doing today.
Yeah. Like for me, if something pops up, I literally have Gemini or ChatGPT open and I just ask it the questions. Like I use it as a sounding board, see what we can pick up, and then like to Drea's point, if you can build something in a test environment, right? Getting back to the free trial, like there was even back in the day when like marking like people would say, hey, how do I get into marketing automation or marketing ops? Like go try the free trial for HubSpot, right? Build out your own marketing automation platform, build a small business. It's the same thing with AI. You just got to try it, right? The only way you're going to really understand if this is the right use case is you understand what the tool does, right? If you don't understand what the tool does, you're just going to be spinning your wheels. So those types of things, it's like AI should be able to give you answers quick. So start there, but also building your skill set, your toolbox, right? Your arsenal of like what you know about AI so you can answer those because AI will not replace human knowledge, right? Meaning I know what I can use AI for. I'm not the best with it, but there might be someone else, and I'm going to talk to that human to say, do you think AI can do this for us?
Absolutely. All right. With that, I would like to thank you, Vaughn. Thank you, Drea, for sharing your insights with us. Thanks to the audience who share your day with us. Hopefully, you pick up some interesting tips and walk away from this webinar maybe just a little smarter about AI than before you join us. So thank you very much. And like I said, this is the first in 4 of these AI webinars. So join us for the next one and download the handbook if that's interesting to you. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, folks.